Assalamualaikum dear students. Welcome again to the physics class. Today we are going to discuss an important topic regarding your coursework and the topic named as scalars and vectors. Okay, so let's continue our discussion right now on scalars and vectors. Like what are scalars and what are vector quantities? Dear students, you have previously very well know about the physical quantities. That what are physical quantities? I have just written down here that what are physical quantities. Physical quantities is simply the measurable quantities. Those quantities which are measurable are considered as a physical quantities. Simply, I can write it down here that those quantities which are measurable are called physical quantities. And what are the quantities which are measurable? Like mass, we can measure the mass of an object in a unit named as kg, means kilogram. We can measure the length of an object by a unit named as meter, represented by small m. We can measure the time taken by any object in a unit called seconds, that is represented by s, and also a lot of other physical quantities which are easily measurable through any device or through any numerical formula or extra. So now we are going to discuss about some extra physical quantities, and those extra physical quantities are divided into two categories. One are called scalars, other are called vectors. What are scalar quantities? So now let's move towards scalar quantities. Dear students, we know that some of the physical quantities that are specified only by a particular number, and that particular number is nothing but a magnitude. Like if I say that the mass of a person, there is a person whose mass is 30 kilogram, 30 kilogram on the surface of earth. So the person's mass is 30 kilogram. So 30 kilogram, what does it mean? It means that the magnitude of a person or amount of matter in a person is a 30 kilogram. The 30 stands for a number, pure number, and kg stands for a unit that describes the physical quantity, that which type of physical quantity we are measuring right now. Like if we are saying that the mass of an object is 30 kilogram. So 30 is a numerical value that represents its magnitude. And what does kg represents? Kg represents unit, and kg is the unit of which physical quantity? It is the unit of mass. Likewise, this we can measure the length of an object. How could we measure the length of an object? I can say that there should be the length of meter scale. There should be the meter scale whose length is 100 centimeter. Or I just write it down here 1 meter, because 1 meter contains 100 centimeter. So now the 100 is pure a number. 100 is what? A pure a number, or it is just simply a magnitude. So, and the centimeter, cm, are the unit meter. What does they explain? They explain that the quantity which are going to measure, which we are going to measure, is termed as length. We cannot say that the length of an object is 100 centimeter. Centimeter stands for the unit of time. No, that's incorrect. Centimeter is the unit of which quantity? The physical quantity named as length. Likewise, this we can measure the time taken by an object. So these are the terms that are basically used in physics and are termed as scalars. The physical quantities that are represented only in terms of magnitude are called scalars. Now we are going to discuss more detail in a way about vector quantities. That what are vector quantities? So now let us move through the vector quantities. What are vector quantities? Previously we know about scalars, that the quantity which can be represented by a magnitude, by a number with appropriate unit. And what are vector quantities? Vector quantities can be described completely by a magnitude. What does magnitude explain? Magnitude explains the amount. Magnitude explains the number that we are going to use in any physical quantity. And with this magnitude, we can also represent the direction of any physical quantity. We can also represent what? The direction of any physical quantity. When a physical quantity contains both magnitude and direction, it is termed as vector quantity. Okay, so now how could we represent that some of the quantities are scalars and some of the quantities are vectors? Like if I say that when we are applying a force, when we are applying a force of 20 Newton, 20 Newton, Newton is the SI unit of force. We are applying a force of 20 Newton on an object. But for complete description of this physical quantity, we must need its direction. That in which direction the force is going to be applied. If I say that force of 20 Newton is applied towards the north direction, so this physical quantity now is a complete physical quantity and it is termed as a vector. Okay, now moving towards another example like velocity. What velocity explains? Velocity explains that how fast an object is moving. Velocity determines that how fast an object is moving. How fast an object is moving. And also in which direction is moving and also in which direction. Now, what does mean by fast? Fast explain the magnitude of velocity. That what would be a number or what would be the magnitude of velocity. If I say that the fast, it means that it is pure a number like 10 meter per second. It means object covers 10 meters in 1 second. If I just write it down here 20 meter per second, what does it mean? It means that object covers 20 meters in 1 second. So it is the it is about that how fast an object is moving. Now it is not its complete description. If we are going to make its complete description, we must go through its direction. That in which direction object is also moving. If if I say that object is moving with 20 meter per second in south direction, what does it mean? It means that we are measuring the velocity vector right now. Okay, hope so that you completely got the little bit introduction about vectors and scalars. So just note it down that vectors are those quantities which are completely specified by magnitude along with a direction. And one more extra point that I just write it down here is this, that it is not always necessary that we are representing a vector with magnitude and direction, but we also go through the laws of addition. So vectors are those quantities which also obey, the quantities must obey laws of addition. Laws of addition. Now this is not the ordinary algebra like addition of 2 plus 2 become 4, like addition of 1 plus 1 becomes 2, like addition of 2 plus 3 becomes 5. It is not always become like this one. So there should be the laws of addition for the description of vector quantities, which we are continuing further. Hope so that you got this lecture about the introduction of scalars and vectors.